Hey guys, I'm Phoenix here and welcome to Scrap Mechanics. Now this is a sort of a physics-based, currently creative-only game. They do want to add a survival mode with sort of monsters that come at you. I think it's sort of robots that come at you and sort of more intricate base building mechanics and the like. But ultimately it's selling itself on being a physics-based build-a-thon type of thing. Currently it only has a few, well I say a few blocks. Most of these are aesthetic blocks. There's a few sort of different types of construction block, which I've been using, a lot of the concrete ones and the has ones. And a little bit of the metal ones as well, the metal ones are there. And then you've got some more engineering types of blocks. We've got the bearing, which is something that I use a lot of, and you'll probably use a lot of them as well. We've got the couple of different types of suspension, a driver's seat and a passenger seat. A couple of different types of engine, thruster, programmable block, the controller, which is rather interesting. And then a couple of different types of switches. Got a sort of a flick switch, like a light switch. We've got a push switch. Got a sensor, a radio and a light, as well as a couple of different types of wheels, and then the rest of it is pretty much aesthetic. We've also got this rather neat little thing. So we've got 4 tools. Got this, the Mechanic's Handbook, sorry. The Engineer's Handbook is something completely different. That's from another game completely. No, the Mechanic's Handbook. So if you open this, you can actually see it's your in-game tutorial ultimately, and it shows you various tutorials on how to do different things. So things like using the lift, which is this rather neat little tool here. So this is a tool. You can only place one lift down at a time. You can kind of stand on it and then lift up and raise you up and down. There is a sort of maximum height that it will go to, so you might want to think about using other methods of going up and down if you are building something really tall, as I tried to. Yeah, that went interestingly, and I'll rebuild that. Ooh, I can just do. I didn't actually know I could do this, so I can do that, and then I can press that, and then I can actually place it on a. Oh, excellent! I didn't know I could do that. So with the lift selected, you can place it on the lift, and then sort of put it in place, which was about there, I believe. That's too far forward. There we go. That's now in place. So that's now loaded, as it were. This was meant to be a lift, and it didn't quite end up that way. But first, let's tell a little bit of a story of my various experimentations. So let's jump over to this one. So this is my buggy, my first buggy that I augmented with a few different bits and pieces. And there's a door here. This was me messing around with the controller. And kind of, yeah, he's a bit jelly-like when he gets into it. So you can drive around, and obviously the more weight you put onto the machine, it's going to react in different ways. You might want to. This is a gas engine that powers the bearings down there, as you can see there. Powers these wheels, and so you can set the level of acceleration, the level of power that's going to be put down into the wheels. But as you can see, it does pull a little bit to the right when I'm moving along, because it's heavier on the right hand side ultimately. So this was my first sort of experimentation with the physics, I guess. And you can also rig up other systems, I guess, to the driver's seat, which is kind of neat. So this got me thinking a little bit, and after a disastrous attempt at building a door, yeah, I then started to experiment a little bit more. So this is my experimentation area. So first thing I did was I built a lift, because I needed to go up and down easily without sort of disturbing other creations. So I built myself a lift here. Then I thought, well, what about horizontal movement? And just while I was thinking about other things, I built myself a door. Yeah. So yeah, I then thought gears. Could I do anything with gears? And I kind of came up with this, and it really, really did not work. As it stands, it's basically used at the moment to trigger a sensor to push that along using thrusters. Again, something that didn't really work. I slept on it, and I came up with this. Now this, I'll place it on the yes I can. Place the lift back on the ground. Yeah, that would be a wonderful idea. Can't really get it to do that. So yeah, anyway, this sort of had these pole things that went through here, and then by pressing it on one on either side, it moved the thing clumsily forward and backwards, ultimately. Then I came up with this. As you can see, that worked really, really well. Any less power on the engine and it doesn't move at all. Any more power on the engine and it sends it skywards. So my final little dabbling, I guess, was this little thing. And this works really, really well. Not too much power, so it moves slowly, and I do have further plans for this design. Unfortunately, at the moment, it will only go forwards or backwards if I sort of change the rotational stuff. But I'll show you how to build one of these now. It's a nice little system, and you can use it for, I think it could be quite useful for sort of building bridges across and the like. Because this is the thing, the game only comes with the ability to do rotational movement. So how do you do forwards and backwards, and how do you do other things as well? And this is kind of what I want to experiment with a lot more. So as you can see, even though it's only got this single bearing, there's an awful lot you can do with it. It does also give you the controller. So this is the controller for the door. So when I hit that switch, the door opens. When I hit it again, the door closes. Very simple. This rotational editor, it moves the door 1 90 degrees backwards, as it were, and door 2 90 degrees forwards. You can also do other things with this as well. So you could say, well, okay, I want door 2 to open first, and then I want door 1 to open second. So you can do that. That didn't work. So maybe I need to do that. That really didn't work. But yeah, you can do that. I don't know why that's not working, annoyingly. Oh, and you can set your speed as well. See if you want it to open slowly, you can do that. Let's just set them back to what they were before. Have a nice slow. Is this even connected? Oh no! Wait, that's sorry, that's the controller for this. That's why it wasn't working. I want this controller. So I want that one going by 90. Now, if you said that one's going by 90 and then that one's going by 90 more, it's plus 90, so that would be then going 180. So you can do that. So door opens, then the other door opens, and so on and so forth. So it does give you a lot of control, things that you can, you know, various things you can do. So you can have a very slow moving lift, or a very fast moving door if you wanted to. So let's build stuff. Let's show you how this actually works. So first of all, let's build another track. How did I build this before? Now you can change these things, so you can do that. Then that one goes out like that. Let's get ourselves a nice long track. These do have a minimum, you can sort of pull them out by, but that should do. Right, now if I was to start building a new vehicle on top of here, it would lock it to this, so you need to put down your lift. Your lift is not just for moving yourself up and down, but for actually building any constructions on it. It stops it from being anchored to the floor. Ultimately. So we can build our construction on here. As you can see, it won't actually lock it to anything. It will be free to move around. Right, need to get rid of that. Because on here, I'm going to put a wheel. And then on the other side, we're going to put another wheel. So these are sitting down on top of the track. And then let's just raise this up a little bit, either side. I'd like to see some kind of cloning tool. But then again, that would be quite difficult, I guess, to do with the... yeah. Oh well. Yeah, so let's just... I'm going to bring that down there. Raise it up so we can actually get under. There we go. Right. And then just do the same on the other side as well. Right. Now, quite simply, I'm going to very quickly pull this out a little bit and do exactly the same thing, and I'll just put that block in a random place. Accuracy can be a little bit interesting. So, we'll up, and then pull it out like that, drop it down like that. Don't worry, the fun stuff will come in a sec. She's actually coding these up. So all in all, very, very simple construction. And we can remove this lift now. Just by doing that, it just moves it elsewhere. Right, so now we need a couple of engines. Now I am using electric engines. The main reason for this is that you get more torque, but less power. Now these engines can only, both the gas engines and the electric engines can only be linked to 7 bearings at a time, and as you can see we have 8 wheels. So I'm using 1 to power the front 4 and 1 to power the back 4, and we'll set that up in a second. So using our linking tool, just link them all up to various engines. another downside of the game, it's not really a huge issue, but you can just, when you've got the linking tool out, you can see everything. So even if you're not working anywhere near where, say, for example, I don't really need to see the linking for that. There should be some kind of distance, because if you're down here, it's confusing to kind of see that in the background while you're working here. I am going to be working down here now. Right, so we want this construction to move forwards, so we want these wheels moving forwards. That one's going in the right direction, and so is that one. Yeah. So it's going to be moving that way, so yeah. And then that one's moving in the right direction, and so is that one. Last thing we need, a button. I'm just using a switch. Now this can be hooked to... Oh. Forgot about that. That's the track, and that's the vehicle. So you do actually need to make sure that your system is your sort of so you might have a sensor here, for example, and then if you used a bearing, you could then rotate a block up in front of the sensor, and then that would tell the machine that it needs to go forwards. Now there are problems with that, because whenever a block isn't in front of the sensor, it will then stop. So you might have to maybe have like a panel that comes up all the way along the track to actually get the sensor to go off, as it were. Right, so that is now connected to that engine and that engine. We need to give it a bit of power, like that. Give it sort of up to sort of half, and then hit the button and it moves forwards. Now that's probably a little bit too quickly. Let's just do that. Let's move them down a bit. There we go. So it's going at a reasonable speed now, so I can stop it before it just falls off the end of the track. So yeah, it's a reasonably simple game that allows you to do some quite complicated things, and I have some ideas of things that I can do, that I think I can do with the game. What I would quite like to do is have a train that moves from one location to another, and can load and unload cargo automatically. That's my goal. And I think with this sort of tram system, I can do that. Now, I don't think it will go round corners. It might need, for example, a turntable to actually sort of turn it around. But at the moment, my goal is going to be to move a cargo container from here to, I don't know, somewhere over here. It will just literally run along a straight track and then unload a cargo container. That's literally all I want it to do at the moment. So yeah, I think this game's quite interesting, because this was what I basically wanted Space Engineers to be. A setup of reliable physics components that allow you to do a variety of different things. And although at the moment we've only got bearings to play with, there is an awful lot you can do with bearings, because if you think about it in the real world, things like scissor lifts, for example, that is just literally a construction of bearings. It's not a piston. It's a scissor lift. So even though you're doing things with rotational movement, you're actually only going up in one direction. So yeah, and of course trains. You know, a train doesn't have a piston behind it; it has a series of wheels. So yeah, I'm going to be playing around with this a lot more, I think, and showing you those constructions, I think, because I think that will be kind of awesome. So for now, I will say thank you very much for watching,